Hi everyone. Welcome to week 3 of at-home learning. It's good to be back with you guys. Natalie here will be acting as my teaching assistant for today. So we're going to start with going back over circles. I know you guys only had 2 days of circles with Mr. G before all of this craziness went down. So we'll start with a review on that, spend about 2 weeks finishing off circles before we move on to new material. I apologize that the production value of these first few videos is going to be a little bit low, but hopefully as I get more used to doing this, after all, this is new for all of your teachers as well. So hopefully we're going to be doing just fine. All right. Okay, so when we left off Unit 7, which didn't last very long, we were in the middle of just basic stuff involving circles, area, circumference, and you can see the two formulas given right up here. Boom, boom, area and circumference. The key thing to know for circles is if you have the radius, you have everything. Everything you'll need. Just plug that in for r in each of those two equations and you are all set. Now keep in mind, I believe you might have talked about the difference between exact answers and approximate a few times. Remember, exact means we're not rounding anything. So even if you want to take a calculator and type in 144 pi and get what that decimal is an approximation of the answer. So for future reference, when you're doing your work and you want an exact answer, you are never typing pi into the calculator for your exact answer. You will only write it as part of your answer in each of these things. Now this is true regardless of how weird your radius might look. If you have the radius, plug it in and you're good. Yeah, you're gonna have to square 6.4 and get a weirder decimal. Yeah, you're gonna have to multiply 2 by 6.4 and get a decimal, but that's fine. And then over here, you're not given the radius, you're given the diameter. So you just have to remember what those definitions said at the very beginning, where the radius was just from the center of the outside, but the diameter goes all the way across. So if you know the diameter, you know the radius, which means you know everything. Plug in that radius and you are good. Now, most of this math so far has been straightforward. Obviously, we have two formulas, we plug into those formulas, and we're done. 7 and 8 on this packet that you guys had started, they are going to involve a little bit more work. You are going to have to work your way backwards from information you have to information you need. Because here in number 7, you are given the area, given that a circle has an area of 16 pi. You have to go in and find the radius, the diameter, the circumference yourself. Well, in order to do that, we are still using the area formula, except this time we know what the area is. The thing about questions like 7 and 8 and what you'll have to do for homework tonight is you have to work backwards. Do whatever it is that you can to get your variable by itself. In this case, r. You are trying to find the radius so that you can do everything else. And once you have the radius, you know how to find the diameter, you double it. You know how to find the circumference, you double it. So really, like we said, circumference could be either 2 pi r or pi times the diameter. So there you see an 8, there you see an 8 pi, and those are all of your exact answers. Again, if I had asked you for an approximate answer, go ahead and take a calculator, multiply 8 times pi, you'll get 25.13. That would only be when you were asked for an approximate answer, which it looks like we're going to in number 8. Now, number 8, I know you guys may have done together in class. I want to do this one fresh with you guys instead of just showing you the answers so that you can again see how it is we have to approach a question like this. So now we've reached a problem like number 8. Circumference of the circle is approximately 62.8 inches. Find the radius, diameter, and area of the circle. If you are starting the question with an approximate answer, then that means that everything that you do in the rest of this problem is going to be approximate. So there's going to be no need for us to leave this as an exact answer. We can just leave it as approximate. You guys can see what we did in number 7. In order to start this thing off, we had the area is equal to pi r squared, and we plugged in the thing we knew. We knew the area. Well, if we know the circumference, It's not like we can plug into this same formula here anyway. We have to make sure we choose the correct formula to start with. Your goal is to find the radius, and from the radius, you can find everything. So all we're doing now is replacing a value with what it's equal to. So your circumference is 62.8. Let's make sure we write that in where it needs to go. This is going to be the part that most people have a lot of issues with. Now, algebraically, I know that you guys know what the next step is here. You want to get r by itself. You will have to divide everything that is not r on both sides. So if we try that, we're going to divide by 2 pi. And some of you have been doing this in 2 steps. I think that's fine. But for those of you who try to do it this way, let me show you one of the biggest issues that you will run into when you do. So if I've got my circumference of 62.8, I'm going to want to divide that by 2 pi. So I'll find where pi is on my calculator. I'll do this. And the circumference of my circle was 62.8 inches. And my radius is almost 100 inches. So think about how little that makes sense, that your circumference all the way around your circle was less than that one little line going from the center to the outside. That can't happen. So what did we do wrong? Well, you didn't do anything wrong, but your calculator did. Remember, your calculator does very strict order of operations. When it sees a problem like this, it says, I'm going to do 62.8 divided by 2. And then I will multiply the answer by pi. It's not dividing by pi because it doesn't know that it's supposed to do the 2 pi first. How can you get around that? Well, like I said, you could choose to do this in 2 steps. First divide by 2, then divide by pi to get your answer. If you want to do it in 1 step, you just have to make sure, as always, if you want the calculator to do something before it thinks it should, make sure you get that thing in parentheses. And when you do 62.8 divided by the whole thing, 2 pi, you'll end up getting that same answer for your radius. So please be very careful about that. There's a reason why I'm spending a lot of time talking about this, guys. It will come up a lot, both in this unit and in 3D solids. So please, please, please watch out for that. We are going with an approximate answer though, and it was 9.994. We can't round that to 10. If you did, I'm not about to be upset about it. But if we're trying to be realistic, if we're trying to keep it as we should, boom, we've got 9.99 inches. Again, if you have the radius, you are done. All you have to do now is plug into your 2 formulas that you have remaining. We know that the diameter is just taking the radius and doubling it. So 19.98 inches. Area is pi times the radius squared. Area is pi times 9.99 squared. Please get used to writing this out to 2 decimal places, guys, for your approximate answers, just to make it easier on yourselves, just so that your answers might look a lot like what you'll see in the answer keys. But at the end of the day, you take that 9.99 and square it, you multiply it by pi, you should get an answer that looks a little something like this. 313.53 inches squared. Please remember, first of all, that area is in square units. And second of all, please remember, an exact answer is one that still has pi in it. Your approximate answer doesn't. So you don't need to write 313.53 pi. In fact, you shouldn't, because that's wrong. You've already multiplied by pi in doing this math right here. So these 3 things right here, those are the answers that would go on the line. That would complete all of your work for this particular problem. This brings us to our 2 homework assignments. Our 2 homework problems, 11 and 12. You'll notice these should look very familiar based on what we've just gone over. You are given some information about the circle, you're asked to find everything else. In both cases, radius and diameter. In number 11, you're given circumference and asked for area. In number 12, you're given area and asked for circumference. You can see the difference between where it asks for exact and approximate. One thing I would like to point out for you on this homework before you begin it. In number 11, you are told that your circumference is 80 pi. If you remember back to number 7, that was pretty easy. We had a pi on the top, we had a pi on the bottom. We could just cancel it out. In number 12, the area of this circle is 50 inches squared. There is no pi following this 50, so please watch out for that. It's not going to be just as easy as canceling a pi from the top and bottom in number 12. That's why in number 12, you're asked to find an approximate answer for everything. Okay, that does it for today's lesson on circles. Again, you have your homework, questions numbers 11 and 12 in that packet. Some of you still physically have that packet, others of you don't. So I'll be sending you a PDF, obviously, of the entire packet. If you don't have a printer at home or you don't want to be bothered to print it, you are welcome to do the work on a separate sheet of paper. Take a picture of that, submit it. However, please make sure you're showing all of your work. Just answers aren't going to cut it. So please make sure I see all the calculations on there, how you got your radius, how you got your diameter, etc. So that does it for today. If you have questions on anything we've gone over, that's what class time is for. So when you guys come in to the Google Meet that I will be linking you guys to in Classroom, just go ahead and ask those questions there. If you're watching this video during class, that's fine too. And if you don't get a chance to finish it before class ends, remember, I'm going to have office hours every single day, weekday, from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. So if you guys don't have time during class or don't think of something during class and want to ask it again during office hours, feel free to do that. If you have my class on a Monday and you come up with a question on a Tuesday, come to Tuesday's office hours. It's totally fine. You don't have to worry about being in a specific class for any of those things. So I hope this has helped a little bit. Welcome again to At Home Learning Week number 3, this time with new material. We'll get through it, guys. I promise. Best of luck.